The Democratic Party's internal civil war has officially spilled out into the open, and Scott Jennings is sitting front row on CNN loving every single second of it. Watch as the establishment wing desperately tries to push back against the Radical Democratic Socialists of America, DSA, only for Jennings to expose the complete economic delusion driving their whole platform. Before we roll the clip, hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe so you never miss a breakdown. Let's dive straight into the footage.
And don't get me wrong, every organization that I am a part of, I don't agree 100% with all the things that they do. I want to be clear. I have been a Democratic Party member my entire adult life, and I don't agree with all the things that the Democratic Party agrees with, particularly those that accept corporate PAC money. Folks are trying to basically fearmonger a little bit, but we really need to be unifying, right?
I mean, she's a state rep. She's a Democrat. The DSA thing is a fairly recent thing. She says she also became a lifetime member of the NAACP, the Working Families Party. Is it an oversimplification that this is about socialists winning?
My grandparents, escaped the Holocaust. My grandmother was part of the Kindertransport. America saved my family's life, took us in. Like, this country gave us all we have. I got people in my district that escaped socialism, right? We're part of the boat lift from Cuba. And so when they see the DSA just the other day, right, embrace 100 years of Fidel Castro, as a celebratory thing, and they see, people like Hassan Piker talk about how Soviet Union should have won the Civil War, and that he's not patriotic, and that he dresses up as Mao, who, killed 50 million people. We deserve 9/11. Look, Democrats have a right to be angry. We lost the election. We lost every swing state, right? We lost the popular vote, and they don't like what happened when Joe Biden, got out of the race and Kamala came in. They blame us for that, and they're right. But people just want normalcy. They look at Donald Trump yesterday or 2 days ago talking about, hey, we're going to stop the exercises with South Korea. We're going to be good. We're going to be good friends with Kim Jong-un.
Or do they want to throw the bums out? I think that's really the question. Because I just, when you see this kind of anti-establishment moment that we seem to be in, it does seem like what they're not asking for is like, let's go back to the good old past. They're saying, let's do something completely different. I mean, that's what it seems like.
A platform with getting rid of the Senate is different. A platform with no jails is different.
This is not an endorsement, just a description of what seems to be happening.
I think you're overstating what...
I'm just reading their platform.
Well, no, but I mean, there's a lot of things that in people's party platforms that people don't agree with. I think you're overstating what the DSA candidates are representing and understating or maybe misrepresenting, even misreading the room about what the party voters are demanding. I'm not a member of Congress, but I'm in touch with Democrats all over the country, and one thing I hear consistently is that they don't feel like you're doing enough. Not you in particular, Congressman, but they don't feel like the party is doing enough. They don't feel like the party is fighting enough against Donald Trump. They don't feel like the party is offering any change.
But is the way to fight against Donald Trump to lose in the general election?
No, this is the same. The Democratic Party is going through the same sort of growing pains that the Republican Party went through 10 years ago with Donald Trump. Because everybody thought, we're going to nominate Donald Trump and we're going to lose because he's such an outlandish candidate. And you know what happened? That there were so many people on the right who were aligned with Donald Trump all along in the Republican Party, who were waiting for somebody to come and speak to them, and Donald Trump gave them their voice. Democrats on the left are feeling the same way,
but again, I understand
that's why they're relating to Zoran Mandani. Mandani in New York City.
Feelings, right?
No, it's not just about feelings.
You use the word feelings.
Not just about feelings. I use the word, but I didn't mean it. I didn't mean for you to dismiss it in the way that I used it. I use it because I'm saying that the people, those feelings are real. People want. They want change.
They do.
They
but
don't want the same thing.
But you're not going to get change if you lose the election.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
But you're making an assumption that they're going to lose.
It's true.
And I do not know that.
I do not know. I do not know.
And a lot of people are saying, because a lot of people. So many other races. Why not try something different?
To Keith's point, Dan, a lot of people thought Zoran Mamdani was bound to lose, and then when you look at where his standing is.
No one thought he was going to lose.
Well, no. I'm saying as a candidate.
You mean in the primary?
They thought that Mamdani's politics would not work in the city because it was.
We don't know if they're working
supposedly.
in the city or not.
No. Listen, I'm just saying he was the underdog candidate. He came out of nowhere.
Right.
He had what was
He won the
considered to be
primary.
extreme policies.
But that's the point.
Now
You
his
can win
approval
primaries.
rating is at 69% in New York City.
But you can
That is like that's a ridiculous
Okay,
number.
but hold on, but that's fine. The DSA,
So
hold on, the DSA targeted me in a red seat. I took a bullet for the Democrats, moved seats to run in a Republican seat, an R3. Trump won it by 9. And the DSA spent $1 million, put their whole apparatus to take me out. What was that about? Is that about winning the general? Is that about making Hakeem Jeffries the Speaker of the House?
The DSA is not focused on winning the general election.
That's right. They're not focused on winning.
But I'm not arguing with
We
you about
totally
the point.
agree the DSA is not focused on winning.
No, that's not what I was saying. The DSA is not focused on winning elections for the Democratic Party. I'll give you that.
Good.
What they are focused on is changing the party and moving an agenda within the party. And sometimes that means taking out people.
And specifically with Jared, what's the agenda?
And sometimes that means taking out people who they disagree with.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Let me ask you a question.
Specifically with Jared, specifically with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who they did the same thing to. What is the agenda that they want to move?
There's two different
Just
issues.
admit it. Just admit what it is.
With Jared, the issue, I think, is Israel. And with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the issue is that she's representing a black district, a historically black district, and there were 4 black candidates.
So let me get this right. Hold on. Let me get this right.
No, there were 4 black. She won the election.
Hold on. So
but there were 4
let me
black
get this right. I
candidates,
prosecuted the case against Kristi Noem for her
Yes.
to be removed. I prosecuted the case against Pam Bondi to be removed. Okay.
I get that.
Hold on. And yet, my district will be one of those districts that decide whether Hakeem Jeffries, the first black speaker in American history, gets to be speaker. But because of Israel, they're willing to give up winning the House.
Well, first of all, you're talking about a segment within the party. I don't represent the DSA, by
I
the
know
way.
you don't.
I'm just telling you.
You seem to be their representative.
No,
this year.
but I feel like somebody should be, because I think that the fact that they keep winning elections across the country should tell us
didn't
something.
win in my district.
Well, that they're winning in certain places. We should start paying attention and stop
I
just
want to zoom out
dismissing
for
them.
just a second, because I also think that what we're talking about, where you have these insurgent sort of ancillary groups in a political party, back in the day it was the Tea Party, and you could argue even that Donald Trump himself was the personification of that. That is a thing that happens. They challenge the party, even in ways that might seem self-defeating. And I remember when Donald Trump ran on a literal Muslim ban, okay? And that was viewed as extreme by most people. When Donald Trump was running on all sorts of things that the Republican, even tariffs were not a Republican platform. And now Republicans are all in on those messages. So you can't really tell me that the parties are gonna, or the voters inherently reject messages just because they are viewed as extreme. Donald Trump has been president 2 times, and he ran on pretty extreme platforms in both elections.
I disagree. I think he ran on things that were a combination of normal Republican stuff and then co-opting what had been traditional Democratic positions. Tariffs were traditionally labored Democrats. That's what they wanted. And by the way, a bunch of people who voted for Bill Clinton wound up voting for Donald Trump, and now they're Republicans.
Not Republican positions.
They are. Well, they are under him.
They are now. And it seems like they actually have the capacity to accept some things that they don't fully agree with if they're getting other things, especially on the economic front. And that's what Donald Trump learned. That's what he ran on. That's why he succeeded in our politics.
I think some of the people you put on, the incumbents that lost, you have to acknowledge they deserve to lose. Thomas Massey in Kentucky deserved to lose. Corey Mills in Florida deserved to lose. Andy Ogles in Tennessee, I think, was kind of lazy. Sometimes incumbents lose not because of larger forces, but because they suck. And they suck at campaigning, and they just are lazy, whatever. Some of these people deserve to lose. Some of them get thrown out by larger forces. I don't think you can generalize it to everybody. But in an environment like this where there is volatility, on that we agree, you cannot afford to take anything for granted, and that's some of these people did.
But I think the most important point is that someone like Nixon is winning because she is campaigning about something, right? Specifically, here's how I'm going to change things, right?
She's putting something on the table.
Right. Vindman is basically campaigning against Donald Trump, right? He's the guy. He's the anti-Trump guy. And I think one thing we are learning, particularly with Democrats, is just saying I'm against Trump isn't enough. Yeah. And this goes to your point about you got to have something to say. And that's why, in some of these cases, the far left is winning, because they definitely have something.
Scott Jennings nailed the foundational flaw of modern progressive politics. The DSA sells a utopian pipe dream of endless free government programs while completely ignoring elementary economics. They love to claim that only the ultra-rich will foot the bill, But in the real world, massive tax burdens and reckless government spending always trickle down to hit small business owners and working-class families. When margins compress and production stalls, you simply cannot out-tax or out-regulate the basic laws of supply and demand. And trying to equate America First trade policy with DSA-style socialist intervention is a total false equivalence. Protective tariffs are designed as strategic leverage to defend domestic supply chains, bring manufacturing home, and protect working-class jobs. Democratic socialists don't want to build American industry. They want to confiscate productivity, redistribute wealth, and punish the very businesses that create jobs. You cannot run a country by using radicals to win elections and then acting shocked when the socialist tail wags the political dog. Notice how establishment Democrats only start sounding the alarm about radical socialism when their own primary seats are under attack? The DNC used extreme activists as ground troops for years, and now the monster is breaking out of the cage and running the asylum. Thank you so much for tuning in. Drop a like, share this clip across social media to expose the left's internal collapse, and hit that subscribe button to join the community. Catch you guys in the next video.